Hopefully something is working, because my studio entry on YouTube Live has completely just frozen up. So I'm now going to randomly press buttons and hope I'm actually going to get in there. View in live control room. Well, we do appear to be on screen. The first question is, can you see us and can you hear us? Please, somebody tell us. Let's see if this button works. So if I press that, we should see it on our screen. Hi from Stuart in Guernsey. Guiseley. Oh, sorry, Stuart. Guiseley. AV 5 out of 5. Brilliant. Finally, I've got something working. You've just spent the... Well, why do I need my glasses?
You can read the screen.
No, I've given you a nice little screen. As usual, we've done the usual thing. We've decided to add things and change things. I've just realised there's a microphone sitting just over my head. Hello, microphone. I'm not going to change it because it seems to be working.
At least it's your head, not mine this time.
All right. She's just spent the last week explaining to me how she's got a sore head because I dropped a microphone on it last week. And I didn't do it deliberately.
You did it live.
I did it live. I know. These things happen. There will be a blooper reel later on in the year.
Yeah.
It's the only way we can get bloopers. Anyway, E-Stim Systems is live here. We had a fantastic day yesterday watching Joanne and her team creating TV madness. Fantastic live stream. Lots going on there. And we now have to try and replicate something vaguely along the lines. And E-Stim Systems has been a bit busy. For some reason, we keep selling stuff and you nice people out there keep buying it. But we have had a little bit of wonderful news. The first one is, and unfortunately there's no sound to go with this because I didn't have time to sort it out.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. We are up for another award. We are up for the Adult Entertainment's biggest night, XMA Awards over in the US. It's the first time we've been up for this particular award. We have been up for a few awards in the US before. And can you remember what the award was for?
Fetish product, I think.
No, I think it was best innovative
It's either
toy.
innovative or...
I can't remember. I should have written these down.
You should have written it.
I lost my list. I haven't written anything down, so this is all going to go completely wrong at some point, especially with this microphone. It's driving me up the wall, but I'm not going to touch it.
At least it's not my fault.
Hello, Dave. Oh, Dave is in the house.
Hi, Dave.
We're going to have to do that little bit, the little video bit with, I can't do that, Dave.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I promised you lots of things, but you're not getting any popcorn.
Okay.
Anyway, what's the other piece of news?
We got banned.
Oh, yeah, we got banned. Nice little graphic here. OnlyFans, you know, that very interesting and highly erudite video YouTube equivalent, but for adults, banned us before we even got started. Why did they ban us? Well, to backtrack a little bit, a couple of people online had suggested that if we wanted to do more interesting videos about how to use our kit, and it is something we're looking at, then we needed somewhere to host it. And unfortunately, YouTube, great company YouTube, we love YouTube, being nice to YouTube today, we can't put some of the material that we would like to put on YouTube because it would be classed as way over 18 plus and they just pull the channel. So we're trying to stick within the rules. So we thought, okay, let's create an OnlyFans for free. We weren't going to charge people for this. And because that's what OnlyFans seems to do. Lots of people take their clothes off and show parts of their body. And we thought, well, we could be a little bit more adult. So I opened up an OnlyFans account. And about 2 days later, they informed me that the account was being closed, which was entertaining because I hadn't actually put anything on it. I just filled out the form and put the details for E-Stim Systems. And I replied back and said, could you tell me why? Commercial. Don't allow commercial. And you're like, you don't allow commercial. Could you define what you mean by commercial? Because according to your T's and C's, it actually says business users are allowed. But evidently we're not a business user, we're commercial, which is really, really confusing. I think it was possibly the fact we were going to do it and not charge anyone, and therefore they weren't going to make any money out of us. But anyway, we got banned from OnlyFans. And then we got another email from them informing us that not only had we been banned, we were not allowed to use any of their facilities, and failure to do so would be a breach of their terms and conditions, which was like, you've banned us already. So you're just double banning us? Anyway.
We were just naughty.
We were just naughty. So, yeah, sadly, there will be no E-Stim Systems on OnlyFans. And actually, strange enough, E-Stim on video is quite an interesting area because a lot of people, and this came up in one of the chats last night with Joanne's team, things like Chatterbait, they see E-Stim and they'll ban the channel. You can't use E-Stim within Chatterbait's rules on Chatterbait. You can stick a cucumber with spikes. Oh God, I've just said spikes.
Someone will be happy.
Someone will be backy. You
Spiky
can't
cucumbers,
use E-Stim on Chatterbait. Why not? You can stick a cucumber with spikes into someone's posterior and make money out of it, but you won't allow us to use legitimate E-Stim on Chatterbait. Why? Anyway, end of rant.
Is that your Stampy Pants rant?
Is that my Stampy Pants rant? No, it's not my Stampy Pants rant. Other news. Oh, look, we've got people here. And it's still working. Look,
Joanne,
spikes again.
Yep,
Yeah,
like
spikes
spikes.
again. No, we don't like spikes.
I do.
No, we don't like spikes. Other piece of fantastic news. If you haven't seen it already, you need to go and watch it. But we did a video a couple of weeks ago with the lovely Liz, who is very female and very goth and very American, and had never actually tried E-Stim. Well, never tried our kit. She'd actually tried a TENS unit a couple of times, and she'd used a TENS unit for just normal use, but she'd never tried our stuff. So we thought we'll bring her in and we'll get her on camera and just explain E-Stim to her. And it was a blast. And unfortunately, there was a massive blooper reel, which you can't show because it just went. It was most of the time us giggling.
I think you should have some of the bloopers because some of them were fun. Yes, we did educate her. Or should
We
I say,
did more
educated
educate her.
her.
Yes, you educated her. And it turned out to be the most popular video that we have ever produced on YouTube. It is now our #1, which thanks to Liz. Yep, great, fantastic. The good news is she's coming back. We've got her scheduled in for early December, so we'll hopefully be recording the session then, and then you might even get it as a little bit of a Christmas present. But yeah, there will be a Liz Talks E-Stim for Women 2.
I think we need the bleep.
I
think we need the bleep button.
Well, we don't do it live. That would be really dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, live could be
Please do it live,
really,
it's
really
dangerous.
dangerous.
Liz. It was an awesome video with Liz. It was
so ... It was so nice to see her reactions. We're looking forward to part 2. Yep, so are we. I've actually had to clear out the entire day because I'm not going to get any work done apart from that. But yeah, it was a fantastic video. And linked to that, we've actually had a couple of other chats with a few other people. We had a very lovely lady who I've admired for years on social media and met a couple of times, initially at the BBB. A lovely Alana Fiendish, who is lovely. That's all I can say. She's just
we
wonderful.
had great fun.
Yes, you two had great
We
fun.
had a brilliant time chatting.
We had
about
a
things.
chat, and then we decided we were going to go out to dinner. And yeah, we had some. It was
some interesting
day amongst
conversations.
friends.
I can imagine the people on the table next to us. in the
sorry,
restaurant
I'm sorry, Roy. That is just not acceptable.
going,
You're going to have to go and buy some more popcorn for that.
It's going to have to sit in
It's
the naughty
late.
step.
You're going to have to sit on the naughty step and count the spikes.
Yeah,
That's 3 times I've mentioned spikes.
I know. You must have a few about spikes. But no, it was lovely on having our meeting with Alana Fiendish, and yes, we had good fun. And I can imagine what some of the people on the table next to us must have wondered what on earth we were talking about.
It could have been an interesting conversation if you had heard them. Lol gets the spikes out. Oh dear. Lol get the spikes out. I'm liking this little thingy here. She's getting the spikes out already.
Which spikes would you like? First?
Okay.
Would you like these spikes, Roy?
Well, we do pinwheels. Of course, there's a single pinwheel, and somewhere we have a double pinwheel.
Spiky, spiky, zappy, zappy. That's the trade name for it now.
So spiky, spiky, zappy, zappy.
There you go, Roy. Spikes. They're waiting for you.
There you are. So yeah, these are pinwheels. So where we were all talking about our spikes and enthusing about the designs that they were coming up with spikes, we'd sort of forgotten the fact that we've been doing spikes for a while, and actually these spikes can be quite interesting. Basically, they're pinwheels, which is technical term is a Wartenberg wheel, and they used to be used for checking nerves response, so you could run them up someone's back and you could see where they lose sensation. You actually use this one because it's single, and we sort of bastardized it and stuck 2 together, and then you get a bipolar version. So this is 1 channel, this is 2 channel. Very, very, very intense. If you like spikes,
It's spiky, spiky, zappy, zappy.
Kren, we're going to have words. Lol spikes. spikes banned. Yeah, I completely agree.
No, they're not banned.
But anyway, but yeah, we have other people we're talking to. Incidentally, one of the videos we did, which I think I released last week, was if any of you do the BBB, which is the Birmingham Bazaar, which is a fetish fair. I think it's the last Sunday of the month.
Sunday of the month.
Third Sunday of the month. Nightingales in Birmingham. Great event. It's an event that we started at just about. It was that and LFF. I had a chat with a guy called Sean who now runs Leather Delights. Leather Delights have actually been doing bondagey stuff for longer than we have been doing E-Stim. I think 2002, I think they started. And it was actually started by a guy called Andy, who used to be called the Kinky Cobbler. Great guy. Really, when I say great guy, really, really nice guy. Had some great ideas. And sadly, he passed away. And the family then took over the business, and the business has gone from strength to strength. So if you want leather gear, and this isn't leather gear that they've bought from some dodgy place in Pakistan. This is stuff that's actually been made in the UK using quality leathers, some interesting leathers as well. I think they were doing reindeer at one point.
Yeah, I think it was reindeer and rabbit.
There was rabbit, was there? She gets upset every time they eat a rabbit.
No, you can't have rabbit.
You can't have a rabbit, but yeah, if you want to see a bit about another company that isn't E-Stim, then please go and have a look at our podcast. We do an audio podcast and a video podcast. There we are. I make sex toys. I spent a good hour or so having a chat to the lovely Sean about what he does, how he does it, why he does it. He's stolen a couple of ideas from us. He's one of the only companies that we know that actually does leather and offers a lifetime guarantee on it. So if you want to buy some decent quality leather kit, cuffs, harnesses, that sort of thing, Leather Delights.
Yep.
Or if you go to the BBB, he's on one of the... You can't really miss him, but great guy. Incidentally, we worked out the next live stream is actually on the 27th, or maybe the 29th.
29th?
29th, which is on the Christmas break. So there will be a live stream. We are planning to do the live stream.
There might be
little drinky poos, which will be entertaining because I don't drink normally. But Christmas, it's Christmas.
We'll have drinky poos.
But yeah, so Christmas there will be a live stream, and there could be some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah,
anyway, you've got your fishbowl. Caz has a fishbowl.
I have the fishbowl.
So the fishbowl. The idea of the fishbowl is we've asked people to ask questions, and we then attempt to answer them, and we stick them into a fishbowl. Luckily enough, there are no fish in said fishbowl.
No,
if there were, put the fishbowl there so it doesn't make funny noises. So,
shall we have a fish in the bowl?
Shall we get rid of the spikes first?
Okay. What do you do? No spikes.
No spikes.
Okay. Number one question.
Number one. Are you answering them or I answering?
I'm asking them, you answering them. So, number one question. Now, all these are genuine questions. My sub is in Chastity 24/7. Is there any way I can use E-Stim on them while they are locked in their cage?
I think the honest answer is they don't really have a choice. You can do what you like. Yeah, if you're using a Chastity cage, yes, you can use E-Stim. There are a number of ways of doing it. You can use insertables, because let's face it, Chastity cage, generally, if it's just encompassing the genitals, you can stick something up the bottom. If you want to use it in conjunction with a Chastity cage, then there's a number of options. To a certain extent, it depends on the style and the design of a Chastity cage. There is the Public Enemy #1, which has popped up in the past, which actually has contacts built into it, and sometimes that is okay. The contacts are actually conductive rubber, and they're not great conductive rubber. And I've also heard issues with the cage actually splitting at times, but we hear they might have changed the design of it. You probably can't do sounding because of the way the sounds are built and the fact that normally most Chastity cages have some form of blocking on the front. Conductive rubber loops, if you can get them in and around, so you get that element of 2 contact points. Sticky pads, and obviously you can use anything around that Chastity cage, so anything that's not sort of the genitals, so inner thighs, buttocks, I've already mentioned insertables. So the answer is yes, you can. We actually do an E-Stim remote plug here. We're allowed to plug things, you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is an E-Stim channel.
Exactly.
It's all about E-Stim systems. We did get criticised for doing a video that wasn't marked as a promotion, because we were plugging things. It was like, well, it is on a channel called E-Stim Systems, and it's about E-Stim Systems. But anyway, the remote, small little box. Do we have a remote floating around?
Probably.
No, we don't have a remote floating around. Next time we'll have a remote floating around. But basically, small little remote control box with a little tiny key fob, and you can wire them up in the house, round and about. If you're getting bored and you want to zap them, just press the key fob and watch them jump through the ceiling. And yeah, they're still under control. Next question.
Next question. I had a bad experience with a violet wand, which has made me nervous about using E-Stim. What is the main difference between E-Stim and violet wands?
Main difference between E-Stim and violet wands? Big box, little box. No, basically violet wands tend to be high voltage, low current. E-Stim tends to be low voltage, higher current. And when I say high voltage, you're talking tens of thousands of volts, because basically it's a control box, normally attached to a handle of some description with a glass electrode, and the voltage is high enough to ionize the gas inside the electrode, and you get sparks coming off the top. Very, very visual. Generates quite a lot of ozone, so you get that ozony smell. You can cause little tiny burns.
Did you say sparks or spikes?
I said sparks, not spikes.
Yeah.
You can cause little tiny burns. And one of the big problems with them, the really nice violet wands were built in early 1900s and before, because they were effectively quack use of electricity. They were designed to enhance hair growth or enhance other things, and they fell into that area of it's just quack medicine, but it looks good. And the problem is you're now working with electronics. Now we're in 2024. You're working with electronics and capacitors and inductors, which were made potentially 100 years ago. They're not going to be up to the same safety standards that we have to operate to. And you're going to have things like capacitors which have got a wax filling. If you use them too long, they melt and all the filling comes out, and then you end up with high voltage floating around. So it's quite difficult to get actual violet wands which are safe to use in the UK or safe to use in any country. What you really need to do is go and find yourself someone who does renovations of violet wands. There's a handful of people out there who do it. Be careful of them and be aware of the limitations and the safety elements. But I'm not a violet wand expert, so take everything I say about violet wands with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
They're too spiky for me.
I like the look of the ideas of bipolar wands.
Oh, right.
I like the bipolar
I really like the look and idea of the bipolar wand. Are these just for women or can men use them too? From personal experience, they are very nice. They slide in, and depending on who's got the handle, they're quite interesting. So they are one of the electrodes that are perfectly suitable for both male and female. You can use them in different ways. You can use them on the surface of the skin. You can use them as insertable. But they are turning out to be more versatile than we actually expected, because people keep coming up with new ideas.
New ways to use them.
This one won't come up on screen. I'm guessing that many Ds would like an oscilloscope on a TENS unit to see a representation of what the system is doing. It'd be nice to see a visual representation of the program selected. I think I know what you're trying to ask. Could we display what the waveforms do on some way on a box, or maybe even in the manual? And the answer is sort of yes, no. The problem is anything we do in terms of a representation, some people will take it really literally. And we've had this. We've put little tiny graphics in the past of what the waveform does to try and explain that it does this. And then people will sit there measuring it and going, it doesn't do that. It's like, well, it's a graphic about 20 pixels wide. It's a representation. But I'm saying that we are looking at ways of creating things that are easier to use, whether it's on the power box, whether it's things like Commander, Connect. So the answer is yes, there are thoughts and plans. Traditionally, Christmas is actually a good time for me to write code. And yes, I wrote most of the code on the boxes. And Commander. Connect, I didn't write. Connect was written for us, and by a very good friend of ours. I did have some input of how to connect networks, but I didn't have the level needed to do all the security side of things, because Connect is actually quite a secure system in terms of it doesn't transmit anything to the server that doesn't have to go to the server, and it doesn't send anything back that doesn't have to come back. So I got someone else to write connect for me. But yeah, Christmas time over this period is the point where I start to look at code again. So there's some interesting stuff on the way. Give me the question.
My partner and I love using eStim. He's often away for work purposes. Is there any way he can remotely control our eStim while he's away?
Strange that, eStim Connect.
Yeah.
Can you connect to somebody across the internet? Yes, eStim Connect. Basically, if you've got 2B, take your 2B, plug your 2B into a PC or a Mac using Digital Link. That has to have internet access. That will then talk to our server, and you have a key code that is generated each time you connect. You then pass that to your partner, who can then use their mobile phone, visit a web page, put the key code in, and they can now control your 2B across the internet. All you need is he or she needs internet access, and you need internet access. It's that simple. It works, as they say. So the answer is, yeah, eStim Connect. And the eStim Connect is free. We do not charge for it. You do have to buy 2B, obviously, and you have to buy the digital link. But eStim Connect, yep, that's free.
Oh, there's one for me.
I love using vibrators and have become very curious about using eStim. What would you recommend as a good starting point for women?
A good starting point from a women's perspective, obviously I had a conversation about all this with Liz the other week, would be to go along the lines of the Electro Helix as a beginning.
Here's one I made earlier.
And
A
something
pair of scissors.
like BiPolar Electro Egg, or
You're going to get the wand out, isn't she? She's got this fan. Oh, no, not all.
a flange-based electrode are good starting points. With the BiPolar Egg, it can be fully inserted, and depending how far up you insert it, depends if it hits your D-spot or not. With the flange, you've got both internal and external stimulation, and on some ladies, it does sit against the clitoris hood. And the Helix pack also comes with sticky pads, which are ideal for sticking on your labby lips and your inner thighs as a starting point. So, yeah, good starting point for ladies. It's Electro Helix, or the Electro Helix Red Pack.
Yeah, but the Electro Helix comes in 3 packs. Electro Helix on its own,
The red pack.
the blue, and the red pack. And then you get into the Electro Pebble, which is a little bit more of everything, and it does sound as well. That banana is looking very
Sorry for himself.
banana-y. Right, next question.
Next question. Are all your electrodes designed for internal play, or can it be used for external play as well?
The bulk of our electrodes are designed for internal play. Depending on how you play, you can use things externally. So ElectroWands are favourites at the moment. Yep, you can use those externally just by a bit of conductive gel, and there you are, 2 contact points.
Are we back on spikes again?
We're back on spikes. I wouldn't use spikes internally.
No, what about whiskers?
I probably wouldn't use whiskers internally. There is a whisker floating around.
We have a whisker.
We a whisker. Yeah, this is a monopole electrode, despite the fact there's lots of little metal wires in the end. So this single point, contact point, sticky pad or something, bit of gel, and then nice sensual touchy.
The other thing that's interesting is a sticky pad on, say, an arm, and a sticky pad on your hand, a bit of gel, and then you can press.
Are we going to be doing live demos next time? Christmas. Oh, that could be entertaining. We might do some live demos.
What is it interesting? Press and tease with your hands.
Basically,
Your hands completely
2
socket.
points of contact, gel. That's all you really need in most eStim situations. So you can use parts of your body as part of that contact. But basically 2 points of contact, so sticky pad on your hand, bit of gel, that's one contact, then you create the second contact. The main thing you have to realise doing that is you don't want to put current across the chest. So if you're doing it with this hand and your partner is there we are, one hand to one hand, not going across my chest, not going across her chest. So don't do it like this. Don't kiss. There is a infamous company, which we're not going to mention, who used to demo, I'm not sure if they still demo, kissing with eStim. Oh my God, we've just kissed on TV. This is the first eStim kiss. But they would demo kissing. So one person wired up, and then kissed. And it's like, what?
That's it.
This is the basic
Look, we've
premise
lost 3 people because we kissed them.
Yeah, we've lost 3 people because we're kissed.
Right, no more kissing them.
This is the basic premise of eStim, is you don't put current across the chest. You try and avoid putting current across the neck because we've got nerves here. It's just really mad. Don't do it. And they use it as a demo, but That's their choice. Anyway, right, okay. Question that's shipping from the UK is next to impossible. Are there ways around this? The first question is, where are you? Because we ship around the world. Shipping is not as bad as people think. They immediately go, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay customs. I'm going to have to pay VAT. Well, firstly, if you're not in the UK and we're shipping to you, you're not paying VAT to us. If you're in the UK, you have to pay VAT, which is 20%. So the price that you see will be lower because you don't pay UK VAT. And the UK store actually says UK VAT. So if you're in Europe, then the price will be lower. If you're in the US, use estimsystems.com and the price is in US dollars. And we don't charge VAT for US or the rest of the world. I think the only place we do charge VAT is if you're in Norway.
Yeah.
So firstly, you're not going to be paying UK VAT. Yes, there is a possibility that you're going to be paying import duty, which in Europe is 0. What you're actually paying is VAT to your government. And generally, there's normally a small handling charge, a few pounds, and like single figures to allow the courier or the postal system to process that. That is what you're going to pay. We ship to most countries in the world without an issue, and we do it every single day. We have tens of parcels going into Europe, tens of parcels going into the States. It's not as bad as people think. However, depending on where you are,
there are a few countries we can't ship to for various reasons.
They tend to be countries that have issues with the religious side of things. Yeah. So don't worry too much about that. Although, if you are in one of those countries and you don't want to say, then please ping us and we can try and come up with some idea. Equally, we do have companies in Europe that sell our products. We have companies in the US that sell our products. We have companies in Australia that sell our products. So if you ping us and say, I'm interested in XYZ, can you tell me who might stock it? Then we can generally help you in that way. So if you really don't want to ship direct from the UK, then we can point you in the direction of who might be stocking it. The main thing is there's no guarantee they will stock it because we don't have any control over what people stock. We don't force our stockists to carry particular items. We just suggest to them that this is what's working for us, and they'll pick and choose what they want for their own clients. Equally, you could walk in there and say, I'd like to order a 2B, and they say, well, we don't carry the 2B, and you go, well, you need to talk to E-Stim Systems because you should carry the 2B, etc., etc. But don't feel that shipping from UK is as bad as people think it is, because it isn't. We do it every single day. The worst case scenario is you might end up having to pay a small amount in order to collect the parcel. And generally you'll get messages, emails and things like that saying there's a parcel to collect, there's a fee to pay. It's not massive. We do this every day, so we know what works, what doesn't work. And we have changed couriers from time to time because when Brexit first occurred going into Europe, it was a nightmare. And we had to work around the systems. What we don't do is we don't misrepresent the products. So they generally get described as signal generators. That's an official way of allowing us to get into the system. But equally, we won't miss value. So I'm not going to turn around and send you a £500 2B and accessories and say it costs $10 because that's illegal. And it'll get you into trouble and it'll get us into trouble. And it doesn't actually gain anything, especially if a package disappears. If you're concerned that a package is going to disappear, don't be, because we're responsible for it until you receive it. So if you order from us and the package doesn't appear, then worst case scenario is we'll give you a refund. Best case scenario is we'll find out where the package is and get it to you, or we'll send you out a replacement. Sometimes that takes a little bit of time, but it happens. It's the nature of using couriers out there. We can't hand deliver everything. I'd love to. I'd spend all my time flying around the world.
And we don't put on the outside what the actual items. We don't.
No, we describe it.
Everything's done as plain packaging. It doesn't say sex toys included or anything like that. It is a total plain package, so it's discreet.
Last time I tried it was conversion from dollars to pounds. Possibly it was okay. Were you using the correct website? Because we actually run 2 websites. If you're in the US or Canada or anywhere that's not Europe, then it's estimsystems.com. And that's the site that we would say use because that's what it's set for. And that will have US pricing. And we tend not to run pricing that changes every 5 minutes because it's a nightmare to change it every 5 minutes. So that'll give you a fixed price. It'll be in dollars. Shipping to the US, no issues with shipping to the US. We do it all the time.
You can change the US site to Australian dollars or Canadian dollars as well. Do you want another question?
Go on, give me another question.
Oh, my partner and I are into medical play. Do you have any electrodes that we can incorporate into our sessions?
She's going to say pinwheels again, aren't you?
No, I'm not actually. This is that thing.
Oh, you mean the speculum?
Depending on the type of medical play you like, we do urethral sounds, and we also do.
I'm going to do this on the close-up cam. Yeah.
This is duckbill platypus.
Actually, do you want to move those?
There's some things out the way.
There you are. That's the duck-billed bipolar speculum.
Ideal for.
Oh dear. Speaking of whiskers, if you accidentally stick a sticky pad on a cat, does it become a jellicle cat? No! Do not stick sticky pads on your cat.
No.
We didn't stick a sticky pad on a cat. It was accidental. But yes, medical play, we do speculums, and these are bipolar. So basically this top bill is actually insulated from the bottom bill. And you can connect the two together. It's adjustable as well. I'm told these are used in a gynecological manner. Not having had babies, I wouldn't know these things. Yeah, it's an interesting device.
And we do sounds for men as well.
We do sounds. I mean, at the end of the day, in terms of medical, you could probably use anything that's metal and turn it into a medical device. The only thing we don't do is we don't do things like needles. I wouldn't condone using needles for E-Stim play. I do know people who do it. It's not one I would recommend because you're sort of breaking the dermis.
It's fresh skin. It's fresh skin as well.
Yeah, it's very fresh skin. Yeah, not something I would recommend, but people do it.
Yep.
So if you do, be careful. Right, okay, going in.
You're going to go fishing this time, oh dear.
We love using your products and travel a lot. Can we pack them into checked luggage or do we have to take them as a carry-on? The answer is it's up to you. We've done it both ways, actually. We've taken stuff as checked luggage and we've taken it as carry-on. In fact, I took some of these as carry-on to do a demo, and it was your M&Ms that got pinged. Was it Maltesers?
No, I think it was more going through security at Gatwick when we were going off to, I think it was Amsterdam for the day. It was the other weekend, and we had power box and cables, and I had one of the Magnums. So one of the Magnums. Oh, I had this electrode in my bag because we were going off for a weekend of fun, and I managed to make the poor young lad at the security desk go bright red because I unzipped my bag, took everything out, got this out. He went, "Can you tell me what this is, please?"
What do you think it is?
So I said, "It's a butt plug." He went, "Pardon?" I said, "It's a butt plug." "But it's metal." "Yes, it's an electrified
It's a
butt plug."
metal butt plug that we electrify.
And he was like,
put it there. Don't worry, it has been cleaned before we used it.
and he was like, "Okay, off you go."
Anyway,
So, yeah.
a question from the audience.
Question.
I have to read it from here because for some reason the software that I'm using to do the little texty thing doesn't do the full length. Is the actual side printed on the sound? I have one and don't know its size. The honest answer is no.
They're not, but generally we go from 6mm up to
They're 6mm,
12mm.
8mm, 10mm, or 12mm. So it's that the thinnest one will be 6mm. But if you've got nothing else to compare it with, then yeah, that could be an issue. I must admit, I don't think I've ever been asked for sizing on the sound.
Is that something we could do?
I'll have a think about that one. But yeah, at the moment, no, we don't put the size on the sound. A lot of the electrodes we work with, we tend to we give you sizing, but it's more a case of trying to get people to understand that it's going to be down to how you feel. Is it feeling too big for you? Sizing sometimes gets used as a comparison. So if we talk about a 2-inch diameter electrode, you know what 2-inch diameter is. But if you're comparing it with a dildo, which is 2-inch diameter, it's not always going to be a direct comparison because aluminium doesn't compress the same way as silicon would. So you're going to get a different sensation and a different way of entering. So we give size as a comparison, but we don't, at the moment, on the sounds, we don't put them on the sounds. There's also not a lot of space on there. We could probably engrave them onto the end.
Yeah, so we could think about.
I'll have a think about that one.
Yeah.
I definitely need to get this little thing. The question from Corinne. We have an XL stuffer. Is that an OMG?
I've been OMG.
because of the way we sometimes find it slipping out. If it's not actively causing contractions, do you have a suggestion or a tension that doesn't break cables? First thing I would say with cables is I would always consider using the right angle cables, so the low profile ones. I would probably look at some form of harness. Rope. Yeah, I mean, basically something that goes across it and keeps it in. Underwear, leather harness, rubber harness, that sort of thing.
Bit of rope between the two connectors.
But yeah, to avoid or cut down the possibility of damaging the cables, I'd say look at using the low profile cables, because that's actually what they're designed for. Hello, she has a stone. I prefer sounds without any sizes, so they can be clean, less abrasive. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I think if I put the sizes on them, I'd probably put them on the end of the plug anyway, so they're not going to be down the main shaft. But it's an interesting thought. I'll have a think about the one. Maybe rings around the sound. Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking about.
But then when they get confused with the dipstick, bear in mind we have the grooves and the rings anyway.
Yeah, maybe rings around the sound. So if it was one ring, it's 6mm, 2 rings. Yeah, that's possible.
That's a possible idea. But
We do a dipstick sound. Why do we do a dipstick sound? It's a long story, really, but basically it was down to the fact that we couldn't machine a particular part, so we put a groove into it, and someone saw it and went, "You can do that all the way down." It was like, "Yeah, that's a really good idea." So we did. And the idea of the dipstick sounds is you can see how far you're pushing it down. If you think about, you've got a normal cylinder of a sound. As soon as it's gone in, you don't really know how far it's gone down, unless you're starting measuring the whole length. So we have these grooves every 20mm, and the sensation as you go through is actually quite exquisite. On the couple of times that I've tried sounding and spikes are like two things I'm still a bit about.
I had piercings on my labia. Ouch. Can I use this as a contact point? Depending on how...
Have you been watching our last video?
Depending on how fresh the piercings are. If they are new piercings, then generally the consensus being no, don't use those, because obviously the skin inside where the piercings have gone through is still healing. You can use a piercing
That is definitely our
as a contact point, but it can be very intense. So it's really down to the individual. Personally, I wouldn't, but it's really down to the individual.
Yeah, so the answer is you can, but maybe not. Liz actually speaks about this in the video that we recently did. I guess Liz disclosed that she has a few.
Yes.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there. It's like, right, okay, stop there. This is YouTube. Can any of your electrodes be used to stimulate the G-spot? Does the G-spot exist?
Yes.
Of course it exists.
Yes, you can.
Anyone who says it doesn't clearly hasn't even seen a woman, let alone
BiPolar wands can be used to stimulate G-spot, ElectroWands, even the triple. Because you can insert it and it can go, and it can go inside the G-spot. So yes, you can use it to stimulate the G-spot.
There are quite a few ideas.
Men do have a G-spot as well. Or is it a P-spot?
I think we call it a P-spot.
So yes, it can also be used to stimulate the P-spot as well.
But yeah, look, we're down to the last. Anyway, do you want to hide that one?
I'll have the fish. Oh.
Nipple stimulation. I love nipple stimulation. Which products would you recommend for safe nipple play? Okay, nipple stimulation. The main stipulation for nipple stipulations is don't play across the chest. So use a box like the 2B, which has got 2 channels which are electrically isolated from each other. And so if you imagine there's your 2 channels, that's one nipple, that's the other nipple. That's safe to play like that because there's no current going across the chest. How do you actually get the current near the nipple? Sticky pads. We do a BiPolar E-clip, which is basically a tiny little clip, which can be quite intense, but it is adjustable, so you can adjust how clampy it is, and that has 2 contact points. They are actually gold-plated as well, so you can clip them around the nipple.
And adjustable.
And adjustable. I said they're adjustable. God. So, yeah, that's the main thing. But the main criteria is use a box which has 2 isolated channels. The main ones out there are E-Stim Systems 2B and the venerable ET312 and the variations of it. Someone said, you never talk about 312. It's like, yes, this channel is about E-Stim Systems. It's about our products. We will talk about other products if necessary, but we don't sell them. We don't support them. We certainly don't repair them, and we keep being asked to.
We don't support them, but we do a cable for some.
Yeah, we do the odd cable for some. So if you've got a box that has a weird and wonderful cable, and it does seem to be the newer manufacturers who are bringing out new boxes or copies of boxes are decided we're going to use I've got that socket in the box. I'm going to use that socket.
But we do adapters, so...
Sounds like they gave you a product idea. This is how we get a lot of our product ideas, from talking to people. It might not necessarily be a direct idea. So we're not going to sit here and go, yeah, we're now going to start doing piercing products. But it might start off a train of thought that moves into something else that then generates interest in something. And we end up with new ideas. And last time I looked on my list of ideas, which is over there somewhere, I had 27 of them. And they sort of keep going up. I finish one, and then another one appears, or 2 or 3 or 4. So there's lots of ideas coming, and we're still developing on the products we currently have. So
and we are open to ideas as well.
Yeah, we're always listening to people when they come up with ideas. One of the big problems with ideas is people do come out with a classic, it must be easy, or it'll be really simple if you just do this. And it's like, yeah, well, it takes me 6 months to go through the testing process, developing, getting it on the machines. And that's just for electrodes. Are there any new products on the horizon aside from insertables? We generally don't talk about new products in advance until a product is sitting on a shelf here or in the office, ready to be sold. That's the point we'll tell you about a new product. We are well aware of other companies who will produce ideas and concepts and expect you lot to pay for them on the grounds that, well, pre-sales, and we've seen it at least twice in the last 3 years. So we generally won't tell you about new products that are coming out until we've actually got the products. If you're one of our test team, then you'll know about them. If you're some of our reviewers, you'll know about them because we send out stuff in advance to reviewers. But suffice to say, we're always looking at new things. So watch this space. If any company that's just sitting here saying that we're not doing anything new, we're just going to carry on doing what we do, those companies aren't going to survive for very long. We have to sit here. We have to innovate. We have to look at what works for us, what works for our customers. How do we improve it? That's how we operate. And we've done so for the last 20 years. So yeah, electrodes and insertables tend to be quite quick to develop. Typical electrode is probably 3 to 6 months to go from initial concept testing more, change it, testing more.
BiPolar wand.
Well, yeah, the BiPolar wand 2020, I think the first drawings for that came out. Electrodes tend to be quicker than power units. And also, I'm loath to create new power units when people have already got power units that we're running with, unless they are substantially different or better. So we're not going to expect you to spend £400 on a power unit and then 2 weeks later bring out a new power unit and go, look, it's the newest one, another £400. So a lot of the things we're doing is looking at how we can improve what we currently have. The 2B is the classic one. There is new firmware out there for the 2B. There's new ideas that are currently going through testing at the moment for the 2B, including at least one of which is, in my opinion, and I wrote the code, a step change in the way the 2B operates. I'm not saying when it's coming out because it's still going through that testing process, but it's going to take the 2B from a great box where it is now to, well, I didn't know it could do that. And I'm quite pleased with it. How about a metal band, which is adjustable, as we see, wire available, but contact area minimal? I think if you're talking about things like expandable bands for rings, it has been looked at before. The problem is trying to find something that is going to offer you a adjustment that is going to be practical and effective and is also comfortable to wear. I haven't actually got an expanding band on my watch today, but I've got expanding bands and they just never really work. And metal tends to give you a hot spot anyway. So when we do rings, we tend to do a wide range of rings because it allows us to get much closer to that ideal position. And actually, I prefer conductive rubber because you get that stretch and you get a better contact and you can adjust it right to the point where it's perfect. So at the moment, metal bands, yeah, it's something that's been asked for, but it's not something I'm sort of actively pursuing at the moment.
Flexible metal.
Well, it's just trying to get it. If you think about it, it's going to sort of compress and then come out again. So this, I know
what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Website idea: a way to compare power boxes. There is actually, I mean, there's bits and pieces on our website. The problem with comparing power boxes, if it's a case of comparing our power boxes, then it's relatively simple, and there is a sort of, it's this one or this one or this one or this one. If you're then starting to try and compare power boxes against other manufacturers, that's a whole world of hurt, because people will look at individual figures without understanding, for instance, output. Output is a classic one. You get a tens unit, and the tens unit will give you an output value, but it's meaningless because it doesn't tell you what the loads are. It also doesn't take into consideration the waveforms, the way they're generated. The 2B is a different system to an electro pebble. It's also a different system to a 312. Many people will compare the 2B with the 312. There are many people out there who love the 2B, don't like the 312, and vice versa. So to compare something and actually give you something that is genuinely useful is really difficult, because if I just give you the pure figures, then on a lot of things, you'll just buy a 2B. But if you want the functionality that other units have, then the 2B might not offer that. So it's a case of trying to come up with a way that gives you an understanding as to what boxes do. They're not just, here's a box, press a button, out comes a value. So comparison of boxes is something that we've looked at. And in fact, there's certainly something on our website. I'm going to have a look. There is a power box comparison page on the website, but that's only for our boxes, and it's looking at functionality. So what am I looking for? These are the options in that box. This is the option in the 2B, Pebble, etc., etc. Certainly it's on the UK store. If it's not on the US store, I will get it on there ASAP, because it should be. Oh, let's press that one. Sorry, E-Stim metal rings. Morph into an electric chastity device one day. There's thoughts on that one. The problem is trying to create something. Yes, she likes that idea. There's a lot of quality chastity devices out there, and the minute you start to get into something that's going to be worn for a long period of time, you've got to look at how it conforms to the body. And the processes that we use, which is predominantly metal and CNC machining, to get something to conform to the body to the extent where it would be effective as a chastity device, is something that at the moment we're not massively happy that we can do in an effective manner. Even now, we've got manufacturers who are going away from the traditional mouldings to 3D printing. Now, Joanne & Co., they're the guys for 3D printing, and we have had conversations with them about 3D printing bits and pieces. But for us, it's a case of we need to have something that's going to last far longer than a 3D print will last. I mean, we do lifetime guarantee on everything we possibly can. So could we come up with an idea that was 3D printed in stainless steel? Yes, we could. Who knows what might happen in the future? At the moment, we've got 27 other ideas to catch up on first. Website idea: play configuration builder with a personal inventory of boxes, loops, cables, body parts to help plan, play, and what connects to where and when the current will flow. Or ask Joanne. Yeah, Kinky Misty, that's a great idea. Fundamentally, if you have questions that are related to E-Stim and it's not on a live stream, all of our websites have a chat function, so you can chat to one of us. Anyone that you talk to on our site, whether it's via the chat system or it's via email.
Or phone.
Or phone. Give us a call. Send us an email. But we're all there. We all use the kit. I designed the kit, but we use the kit. So if you're going to turn around to us and say, well, this is what I'd like to do, what do I need to do it? We can help. The problem is there's so many different variations. Even for something simple like ElectroWands, there's so many different ways of using it. We could be there for hours trying to create something on the website when we can have a conversation with you, and it's very personal. It's personal to you. You know exactly what the options are. We can talk you through them. We can talk about what kit you currently have, because we're not just going to sit here saying buy E-Stim Systems kit. You might have bought electrodes from somewhere else or a power box from somewhere else. We can talk about how that can work with your play, with our experience.
And the main thing is everybody's different.
Everyone is different, yeah.
What setup might work for you may for somebody else not be the right setup for them. So
here's a question.
Always speak to us.
I see a lot of people using your device, mostly on men. Is that the majority? I'm going to be honest. Yes, the majority of our customers are male. Why? And actually, this came up with a conversation with Liz last week.
Yeah.
I think it's possibly because it seems very techy. It's lots of buttons and switches and there's cables. And from a female perspective, a lot of women look at that and go, no, I don't want to get involved in that. It's
But there are female
just
users.
not something that we do.
But there are female users out there, and more and more female customers.
We are seeing more and more. I mean, that's one of the reasons we
coming to
spoke
us.
to Liz and got Liz to come in and have a chat, because we are seeing more and more people using it, either individuals or pro-doms or couples. And why should the man have all the fun? Why shouldn't the woman have some fun? You've invested in this kit. Why not have an element of, we can play with this. We both can do this. You play in a slightly different way. We've got, let's face it, our anatomy is different. But there is absolutely no reason why, if you're a woman or your partner is female, there's no reason they can't enjoy it just as much as you can. And that's what we've taken on board, which is why we're beginning to try and look at doing more stuff for women and not doing the classic, oh, we're going to make it pink, because we know that's not what people want. People want stuff that is effective, works, and is going to give the desired response. Now, that response might be pleasure, response might be pain. It depends how you play. Because the next question is it more BDSM than mainstream? And the answer is, again, no. Yes, it's effective at BDSM play, but equally, it's effective using normal play. It can be used in a very sensual manner. So there's so many options, there's so many opportunities to do things in different ways. That's why E-Stim is so magical. And we've been doing it for 20 years, and we're still learning about how other people use our kit. And we get ideas from that.
And
and
we're
it's
still
like,
experimenting ourselves.
we're still experimenting. We're still coming up with new ideas and ways of playing. And it's not just, oh, I can make that, I can sell it. It's actually, no, I really like this. I'm enjoying doing this. So the answer is, yeah, at the moment, the bulk of people, it's probably male. But there's more and more women coming on board and actually realising that this is something that's going to give pleasure. And not just pleasure, but pleasure that they can control. It can be deeper, it can be more meaningful. It's not just a button where you press and blah, 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 blah. That's it.
It doesn't go from
As Liz described it, a medley.
low power, medium, high power to medium. You just get to that magic point and it goes back to low power again. It doesn't do that. E-Stim for women is definitely more.
Joanne, I love playing with all E-Stim kit as dub sub are. Yeah. We are seeing and hearing from more and more women who are coming in and saying, we actually play with this kit ourselves. And it's great. And we're listening to people, we're talking to people, finding out what works for them. I can tell you what works for me. I can tell you what might work for you based on my experience of whatever position you're in, but I'm not going to tell you it's going to be perfect every time. I'm not going to tell you. I don't know you. I don't know what works for you. I can just give you guidance. And from a female perspective, this is where Caz comes in. Kay, Liz, Joanne, there's so many people coming into the E-Stim world who actually play with the kit. In the past, it was a young lady with large boobies who'd sit in, hello everybody, yes, this is E-Stim, this is an E-Stim box, hello, yeah, right, it's going to make cum. That was it. Now, we're talking to people about real experience, what really works for them. And it's fantastic. It's brilliant. I just love it. It's great. Oh, we have another question there. I'll just answer the other question. Jim, how does your Helix differ from over-the-counter TENS unit?
More functionality, more control, slightly more powerful. Bear in mind, when I had my first TENS machine, I maxed it. And it just wasn't powerful enough for me. It's definitely more powerful than a standard over-the-counter TENS machine. You've got the functionality, so on the Helix, on most TENS machines, you either have a pulsing or a continuous mode, whereas on the Helix, you've got Tease and Torment, they've got it now. Fire.
Have a look.
We've got
Pulse, flow, fire, milk and tease.
So we've got 5 modes on the Helix. You can control how the output feels. So on a normal over-the-counter TENS machine, all you're going to get is that real spiky sensation, whereas with the Helix, you can make the pulses smoother. And you can make the pulses come faster or slower.
Okay. So. Just go and get a cup of tea.
So yeah. So how does it It's
Can I
actually better.
answer it now?
Yeah.
How does your Helix differ from a tension unit? Yeah, it's better. The honest answer is yes, it is better. However, I will say that if you're concerned about price, and a lot of people are when they look at our kit and look at tens units and things,
Try it.
and you're not sure about E-Stim, try tens unit. Because a tens unit will give you the basics. It'll give you the initial understanding as to this is what it feels like. Then when you move on to something like a Helix or an Electro Pebble, suddenly you've gone from riding a bicycle to driving a Maserati.
You've gone from
It's not necessarily a good thing, Maserati.
Stabilizers to not
Yeah,
stabilizers.
you've gone from, okay, that's what it feels like. Now I've got more control. I've got a wider range. I've got more programs to play with. I don't have things that turn off after 30 minutes because it's a treatment. It's just that it's going to work much better and feel much better. So that's the difference. It's now nearly 6:15.
And you've got to answer the question about the Black Friday sale. Or we've been
I
asked.
only answered the question about the Black Friday
All I'm
sale.
going to say is watch your space.
The standard response to questions about are we going to do discounts or sales is my first answer is go and join the newsletter or watch social media. We generally don't announce sales in advance because that would be a little bit silly and a bit unfair. And that's all I can really say about that one. Oh, we've got another question. Yeah, this could go on for hours. They're going to do it deliberate.
Can you use 2 TVs at the same
Can you put it on the screen?
Can you use 2B?
Oh, there we are.
Right, I can't read all the question.
Can you use two 2Bs at the same time? The honest answer is yes, you can. You can use them because they're isolated units. Even if you're using on power supplies, they're still isolated outputs. So you can use them nipples, you can use them internally and nipples. It's up to you. So yes, you can use two 2Bs. We have discovered someone who owns 8.
And uses all 8 at the same time.
That's more than me. And I make them. I don't have 8.
2 was being greedy.
Yeah, 8. I'm going to have to sort out why this text doesn't appear. I've searched for advice for my hobby and diabetes and found none. Do you agree? I think the question is, if you have diabetes, can you use E-Stim? Technically, my answer is going to be you need to have a talk for your medical practitioner because I can't give medical advice. However, one, we do know people who use E-Stim with having diabetes. The major issues with E-Stim are heart condition, particularly if you've got any form of electronic device, pacemaker, that sort of thing, epilepsy, pregnancy, and any form of infusion pump. So if your diabetes is treated by an infusion pump, there could be an issue because there's a possibility of the electrical signals could interfere. If it's injecting, etc., we are aware of people who use E-Stim and they are diabetic. But my honest answer is please talk to your medical practitioner and ask them. Most doctors these days are quite open-minded. They know what E-Stim is. They know that everyone has sex. You don't catch diabetes. You don't have diabetes and suddenly don't have sex. It doesn't happen that way. Sex is good. So please talk to your medical practitioner. They are the best place for advice. Unfortunately, the internet is not a great place for advice because you guarantee that someone will tell you, yeah, it's fine. I stick barbed wire in things all day.
100 and more ways to kill yourself on the internet. Go
by what your body's telling you. If you're doing something, it starts to hurt, or you get redness, or you get burns, and that sort of thing. And it is possible with E-Stim, because you can turn the intensity up in certain levels. Stop. Back off. Respond to what your body's doing. If your body's screaming out, going, pain, 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 then maybe stop. Maybe not stick the spikes in so much. But anyway.
I like spikes.
I don't like spikes. Anyway, I'd love to thank everyone who's been putting up with. Look, we still managed 23 people. This is fantastic. I'm like,
wow, you guys.
We are going to do another live stream in a month's time. We only do one a month. Please, if you.
It will be Christmas.
It will be Christmas, and that's going to be an interesting one. Could we have some fun on that one? Thanks for listening. It's been a manic one.
It's been a busy one. So yeah, we will see you for the holidays.
Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Have fun. And until the next time.
Bye.
Bye.